Hey, I am Kimbo and I blog at agirlinagluegun.com, and this is my YouTube channel where I share crafty projects and DIYs. Today we're going to launch into lettering, hand lettering. On my Instagram, I always share sneak peeks of me making my cut files or like hand lettering envelopes that I'm sending my stickers out with, and I always get loads of questions about how did I get started, how do you hand letter, what kind of brushes do you use, etc, etc, etc. So I'm going to just jump right in and I'm going to give you a crash course in everything that I know about hand lettering. So get ready. So I have a blog post all written with everything linked to it that I'll leave in the description. So if you have any questions, refer to that because the answers will hopefully be there for you. All right, you guys are ready? I was gonna say Vanna White, but it's more Price is Right with my hands today. Let's jump in. The first question I get asked the most is, what pen do you use? What brush are you using? What pen are you using? And I honestly think that people have it in their heads that if they have the perfect pen, it's gonna make them a better letterer. Like, oh, that pen is amazing. If I had that pen, I'd be so much better at lettering. Let me tell you a secret. It is the practice, not the pen. Okay? So realistically, so this is Crayola. I always stuck up when, look, this is, hang on. These are my Crayola. I buy like every color. Like when school season starts. I love them. But you can letter with these. So I actually did this one. That's done with Crayola. This is done with Crayola. So if you are thinking, oh, I'd really like to letter, but I can't afford the expensive brushes, that's not a good excuse anymore, because you literally can try these out with Crayola. You can practice, practice, practice. At the very beginning of when I decided that I wanted to do hand lettering, I went out and I bought a black pen and all the different brush pens that there were. And to be honest, I had a price range of like $1 to like a $12 pen, and I didn't think any of them like stood out and was like a game changer. So this is the one that I stick with the most. It's a Tombow. I've always said Tombow, and now I'm questioning everything I know. It is a brush pen, so I've got brush on this side. And then there is a fine tip on this side, which I love. I love that it has the double edge, so you can do like an outline. So when I'm addressing envelopes, I can do fancy, and then I can flip over and I can write the address. So I love that option. And I feel like price-wise, these are very decently priced. The one I have linked up is the set I just bought from Amazon. It has all the primary colors. They also have ones that have like the bright colors. But I'm going to be 100% honest, I use black the most. It's the majority of what I use. So if you're just jumping in and you want to just keep your costs low, start with Crayola and maybe a black Tombow. Another one that you guys see me use often is this Sharpie brush pen. Sharpie sent these in a box to me and I actually really like them. But let me show you the size of the brush. So these brush pens, when you press them down, they kind of fan out, which gives you the thick and the thin when you're lettering. But if you can see, that one's a lot bigger than that one. But that's kind of fun to have in my arsenal, and they of course have all the good Sharpie colors, right? The next question I get asked all the time is, how do you get started? The first thing I recommend is going and downloading some tracing sheets, just some practice sheets. I have a whole bunch linked up on my website. The link is in the description. But I think these are just great to practice and get comfortable with the pens and get the feel for the pens. The general rule when lettering is thin, and then when you go down is when the thick. So up is thin, down is thick, up is thin. Let me zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. Okay. We have thin, down is thick, up is thin, down is thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. So the purpose of these, I feel like, is just to really make yourself comfortable with the pen. I'm going to switch it up. So this is the Sharpie one. If you are using an iPad Pro, or that's what I use a lot when I'm doing my cut files or my hand lettering. So you, instead of printing these out, you can download them and then upload them into your iPad Pro and use, so it's the Procreate app that I use. I actually have a whole YouTube video that kind of shows you the basics of it. I did this when I was doing like hand lettering like this with the pens. And then when I started on my iPad Pro, I uploaded these into my Procreate app and then practiced with my pen. Because the iPad pencil is a totally different feel than some of these brush pens. So I kind of had to like relearn everything with the iPad pencil. So this is the Crayola. Now these tips aren't a brush pen, which means you have to definitely push a little bit harder to get a thicker result. And if I don't like something or if I want to make it thicker, you can go back. There is no rule that says you cannot go back and like touch up. I always feel like I've got to smooth out maybe how I finish it, or I like to usually thicken up my lines a little bit. This cute one is from Printable Crush. This printable, I love this one. So once you're well accustomed to the brush and you can maybe even pick your favorites after you've practiced enough with them, you can decide which one you actually like. The next step, in my opinion, is figuring out your font. So like these are fantastic. I love her style, but that's not my style. So I wanted to figure out how I do my A's, how I do my B's, and how I do my C's, etc. So I'm not even going to tell you how long I spent practicing each letter. I just would go through and write, like if I was practicing A, I'd write apple, I'd write bat, I'd write banana, and then I would just practice my A's over and over again until I found like, this is the one that flows, this is the what I like the most. Let me show you, hang on. These three are all from different amazing letterers, but I wanted to show you how different all those A's are. Do you see every single one of those A's has just a different feel to it? This one's got more swirls. This one bounces down a little bit. This one stays between the lines. This one doesn't connect. That one does connect, right? So when you are comfortable enough with your pen, that's your next step, is figuring out what your font is. It is raining outside. Can you guys hear that? My poor family's trying to clean up the yard while I'm in here. That's why it's so quiet in here for about 10 seconds. Okay, I'm going to show you really quickly what I mean by figuring out how you're going to write each letter. So like, let's take O's for example. You can write O's. There's just so many different ways to write O's. So like these two kind of look the same, except for this one's clear down here. This one comes up and overlaps. And of course you can write O's like that. B's. Right? There's just so many different ways to write B's. So when you practice and you practice, you're going to figure out, like when you're writing, so when you're writing bed over and over again, you're going to be like, this B, I like the look of this B the best. This one feels the most natural. You're going to figure out what your letter style is. And then that helps you. So when you're lettering, if you watch these Instagram people who are lettering and they're so quick at it, it's because they've been doing the same S's, they've been doing the same A's, they all have a style. I have a lot of friends who do lettering, just in like the blog world, and I can like scroll through Instagram and without seeing the name attached, I know who that artwork belongs to because I know that their lettering style. So that's something that you just need to play around with. So when you're lettering and you're writing hello, you know, that's how my O's are, that's how my E is, that's how my H is. Moving on. I wanted to talk about bounce lettering because it is one of my favorite styles. It's just a little bit more whimsical. So we're going back to I was gonna say 3rd grade, but I'm pretty sure this is like kindergarten, 1st grade, right? We've got our lines and our dashes, and the teacher has told us if it's lowercase, you're gonna stay below the dashes other than like T's, B's, D's, anything that comes above the tails, right? You're gonna stay in your nice little line. So I'm gonna write practice. I'm gonna stay underneath that dotted line like I'm supposed to. The next one I'm gonna do is a bounce lettering. And I dip down, I go above. So if you notice, my C up here is a little bit higher than my C down here. My E is a lot bigger. My E dips down, my I dips down, my R comes up. Bounce lettering just means it's a little bit more bouncy, I would assume, right? So you're just having a little bit more fun. So when I am lettering, I like to do the bounce lettering. I like it to dip down and come up high and fill the space a little bit better. There is no right or wrong. That's just a preference. So make sure that when you're practicing, you're practicing both styles and see maybe you like one over the other. We're almost done. So when I say lettering, I almost always mean cursive, but lettering is block fonts too. And I think it's nice when you can incorporate both of them. So I'm gonna do so when you're practicing, I like the look of sometimes when you put things in bold, it emphasizes the word, or if it's all in bold and then you have a pretty cursive, it emphasizes the cursive word. So that's another thing that you can practice, is mixing it up with styles, adding blocks with your cursive. This is just a chisel tip Sharpie. This is nothing fancy at all. I do want to show you, so I've been just hand lettering freestyle. I haven't been like sketching anything out. But when I'm offering a printable or a cut file on my blog, I actually spend a lot of time tweaking it to make it perfect to fit the space. So I'm going to show you, this is one of the cut files. So this is on my iPad with my Procreate app. But I'm just going to show you really quickly like how much behind the scenes there is that you're not seeing when those people on Instagram are showing their beautiful hand lettered designs and they're just lettering it up really quickly. There's a lot of work behind. They're sketching it out. They're trying to figure out the spacing. They're trying to figure out what kind of font to use. So there is a lot behind the scenes that you're not seeing. So if you can't just sit down and pen a beautiful quote right from the get-go, don't get discouraged, because like I said, there's a lot of behind the scenes that you're not even seeing. So let's review. First, do not think that you need to buy the most expensive pen. Just grab your kids' Crayolas and some of the printable sheets and get started. Second, practice. Practice and then maybe even practice some more. I seriously still go through and fix some techniques and tweak, or I'll see someone letter and I think, oh, that's a cool way of doing a swirl, and I practice. So there's no end to the practice. Next, figure out how you like to write each thing. Figure out how you like your R's and your B's and your T's. Figure out your style. Third, have some fun. Do some bounce lettering. Mix in block fonts with cursive. Do big, do small. Do fun colors. It's supposed to be fun. So I hope I answered at least some of your questions. Make sure to check out the blog post that's linked up in the description. That will link to anything that I've talked about and used, and then hopefully answer any other questions that you have. Remember to practice. I hope you guys are inspired to go and at least start hand lettering and jump into it. I find it so soothing, so I hope that you guys do too. And if you guys make anything amazing, I would absolutely love it if you would share it with me. That's like my favorite part, is seeing people's creativity like take off. So make sure to tag me in those. I'm on Instagram at A Girl and a Glue Gun, and also on Facebook, or you can just email me. Any of the above will work great. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel so you don't miss anything, and have a fantastic day.